Battlefield 1 versus Call of Duty Infinite Warfare versus Titanfall 2.
Yes.
Maybe not which is the better shooter, but what ones do we like?
I played like a lot of Titanfall 2, finished the campaign, did some multiplayer rounds. For Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, I played that even more than Titanfall 2, finished the campaign, played a lot of zombie mode, and played a lot of the multiplayer. There was like a double XP weekend going on in the first weekend, so that's super nice to rank up fast and get some new weapons and stuff like that. And then I also toyed around a little bit with Battlefield 1, and I played like the last mission from the single player in the desert, and also did some multiplayer rounds at some events and also just at home. But I got lucky. I got all three games on PS4, so that's pretty nice. But my favorite, and this may sound weird to you, is Call of Duty because
I knew this was coming.
because it's like, of course, the space setting is like, oh my god, they're going to space. I want this like a World War One shooter, blah blah blah. Well, I'm like kind of happy they do this because, of course, it kind of changes the gameplay, but it also gives you like weapons that you've never saw before, and it gives the developer way more freedom in what they do. I mean, we have like crazy weapons. For example, one weapon, the Type 2, you can like rip it out and you have like two guns, and then you can put it back together, and then you have like an assault rifle. That's pretty cool stuff, and they toy around with that a lot. And the single player, it was like pretty awesome that it's all like fluid. I mean, the space setting, I mean, if you are really into space, you probably think, oh wow, that button shouldn't be there, and it's probably, I mean, it's like a movie. It's like a blockbuster movie where
it's
maybe
a
not
linear
everything
on rails Call of Duty storyline.
Well, that's not true actually, because it's not on rails. Because you have like this ship, and then suddenly you can like choose: do I go and continue the story, or do I like assault these ships that have like different weapons that I need to destroy? So at one point you're like sitting at it's like Mass Effect style. You can choose where you can go. And you also have like this ship, like that you're in a spaceship, killing a bunch of other spaceships, and it really feels like arcadey, of course, and it's really Call of Duty, but it still felt really good. And for me, I'm not really a sci-fi fan, but to toy around with the things that Call of Duty brought to the table in the space setting really made me happy. I mean, it's cool to assault a ship first. You are in a spaceship. Then you kill some guys, then you drop out of the spaceship, fly, zero gravity, move, go to the spaceship, get in, try to infiltrate that. For example, one time you have to like put on an outfit, just run around, disable some robots that are there and otherwise will attack you. And then when you finally killed like the general that's there or something like that, then everything goes to shit, and then all the guys are going to attack you, and all the robots you disabled are not going to come because they are disabled. So then you have to run away and everything's going to explode, stuff like that. And also there's like someone from Naughty Dog that worked on Uncharted and Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that is also working on the story in this game. So there are like little Uncharted things that make the characters way more like alive. For example, one guy is like, hey, that commander of yours, that girl, is she free? And that's just during a like random mission, and you're like, okay, oh cool, man. And then later, you really feel for them. It's like a mission with a crew, and I didn't really have that in other Call of Duty games. There were like random soldier 1, random soldier 2, and all the names were moving around, and now I really felt like, okay, I know these guys. And there are still like a ton of not very interesting gameplay moments. For example, kill one big robot with a bazooka and find new rockets lying around the map. Stuff like that sucks, but that's where Titanfall 2 campaign was really interesting, because they like took the amazing movement gameplay. I mean, I think the Titanfall 2, I mean, normally Call of Duty is like king of how a shooter should feel, in my opinion, and Titanfall 2 like makes it even better. So really like their movement more, and their gameplay is way more interesting, but there's not a lot of presentation around it. It's like move to one mission to another, and you don't really know what happens in between. It's like a loading screen that tells you, oh, you're now captured, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay. And then you have like a new mission and you do a bunch of stuff. So that's awesome in terms of gameplay. But I really felt the Call of Duty single player was more interesting. And then, of course, the multiplayer is the most interesting. And, of course, you played some Battlefield 1 multiplayer. And it's interesting that Call of Duty is like really fast-paced, small maps, 1-to-1, while Titanfall 2 is like a little in between the Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty. I mean, the gameplay really feels like Call of Duty. You wall run, you have a jetpack, stuff like that. But there are vehicles, like Titans are, vehicles, you can really call them that. And the maps are way larger than, for example, a Call of Duty is. And Battlefield is, of course, that in overdrive, 32 versus 32. And tanks. So if you really like the long range, I mean, because that's what's awesome about this. All the 3 shooters that came out in the past 3 weeks are super good, in my opinion.
And except for if you're on PC, there's been a lot of complaints about Infinite Warfare on PC, but every Call of Duty has that issue.
But
Call of Duty.
But that was that's because there are not a lot of people playing on Steam, right? So you have to wait.
As far as Call of Duty goes, no, because we've been burnt so many times on PC that we've learned our lesson. We boycott them. That's basically what's happened, because we loved Call of Duty 4 on the PC, and then Modern Warfare 2 is what started to break the camel's back, because that game was buggy. Not super buggy, but it had a lot of hackers and stuff. They didn't do anything about it. They just completely left everyone behind. And so once Modern Warfare 3 came along, and also Black Ops 2, I guess we could throw that one in too, it just became an issue where the PC community just voted with their wallet, and they're like, well, if you guys aren't going to give us a proper release and actually take the time, we're not going to give you the money, because you're just not giving us a finished product. And that's sort of what happened. I mean, people with really high-end computers could not run that game at all because it just was not optimized. So, and right now, especially with like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One being so close to PCs, there's really not a huge excuse that they can really use. Like, I would rather have a Call of Duty that releases that only runs, at 60 frames per second locked like it does on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One with similar settings. But as long as it's a stable 60 frames, then they can add in other stuff later. Like that at least to me would be passable. But the way they've been doing it lately, it's just they don't even care. They just throw it out there and just we'll patch it later, I guess. So it's, I don't know, it's really stupid practice. But
it's like,
go ahead.
This trend is like really something that's going on with a lot of PC games nowadays, right? I mean,
no, not really. There was a comment on Twitter that I saw saying, oh, well, PC players should just, learn to buy games on consoles because obviously it's broken them on, PC day one. But what a lot of console players don't understand that make that comment is that we just have higher standards. If, a game launches on 30 frames per second on console, that's all fine. That's expected. If a game launches 30 frames per second on the PC,
fair enough.
That's not expected at all. We expect solid 60 frames per second and, decent performance tweaking features. That's what I think everyone should really,
That was the problem with Mafia 3, right? That capped at
yes.
30. Okay.
It was capped at 30 because they didn't want to expose that the game didn't run great when it was uncapped.
And then they uncapped it, and people, saw the results.
Yeah, they fixed it. They fixed it a bit later though. But getting back on Battlefield,
you played a lot of Battlefield 1.
I didn't play a lot, but I played at least an hour and a half today. I literally bought it when I got home. My friend,
really? Okay.
Yeah, my friend was like, "Hey, I just bought Battlefield 1." I was like, might as well too. Fuck it. And so I went scoured internet. I didn't really want to give them full price, so I went on a bunch of random sites to see what I could find. All of it was out of stock, so I was like, whatever, I'll just buy it on Origin. Bought it on Origin. Played, I would say about 3-4 rounds or so. Got to experiment with a couple different maps, a couple different guns, a couple different types of vehicles and whatnot. I am impressed, mainly because of the fact that they really nailed the theme. They nailed the gunplay. I despised Battlefield 4's gunplay. It was so floaty. Battlefield 3's as well. It wasn't as bad as Battlefield 4, but Battlefield 4 was just atrocious. Hardline was atrocious. And
Yeah,
Battlefield Bad
that's not
Company
a DICE
2,
game, of course. But
yeah, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was the last Battlefield that I really, really loved. And I feel the same way about this game right now. And usually with first-person shooters, it's not like a honeymoon thing for me where I go into I really love it and then I drop it. It's usually if I really love it, I keep playing it. And so that's why I'm really happy I bought Battlefield 1. And I think I'm going to sink in a lot of hours in this game just as sort of like a casual drop-in, drop-out game, like what Rocket League is for me. So that's going to be really fun for me. I don't know, like when it comes to small-scale gameplay, I think I'm just sick of Call of Duty in that respect because it seems like every map sort of plays the same. It doesn't really feel like anything's innovative, and I think that's why I still think Titanfall 2 is doing a good job, and that's why even though I didn't buy it over Battlefield 1 because I usually just make one decision, I'm like, I'm not gonna buy both.
that's the whole problem with Titanfall 2.
Exactly.
Nobody is buying it. They're buying the other games.
Yeah, and that's sad because Titanfall 2 should be bought far more than Call of Duty. I think Respawn's doing a lot more interesting things with that franchise. Sure, maybe the campaign, as you said, is not like super baked as maybe like a Call of Duty is, but Call of Duty's been going on for how long now? So I mean, it definitely makes sense that for the first campaign that Titanfall 2 releases, it's maybe not the most perfect thing ever, but from what I've seen just of gameplay, it looks really diverse. Like it's on
super,
rails, but it's really diverse. They really go out of their way to make it feel like everything that you do is different. And that's what I expect to see. And, you know, maybe I haven't watched a lot of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare gameplay for the campaign. Maybe they do mix it up a good bit. I just feel like Call of Duty is Call of Duty at this point. Everyone knows what they expect. For some reason, they still buy it. And then they complained a month or two later that, oh, it's just Call of Duty and it's trash. Where they could easily go out and buy Titanfall 2 and support a developer that's trying to pump their heart and soul in this, that or a bunch of ex-Call of Duty developers, at least some of them, that left after the glory days of Call of Duty, aka COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, and also Black Ops. And they're trying to make something special, and people are just ignoring it because there's 3 top-tier shooters out right now, and they're the third one, the third wheel that's just chilling there. And they're just sitting there lonely, weeping in a corner because they're not getting any sales. It's sad. No. It really is.
Yeah, but it's not their fault. It's like EA's fault because they probably made the decision. So yeah, it kind of sucks. That's like the overall thing. I mean, there should be like a space for all 3 shooters, but that's not the case. I mean, if you want to level up in Call of Duty, yeah, you're going to do that, and you're spending a lot of time in that. And then go back when you then, why would you then go to Titanfall 2? I mean, yeah, it plays like the same. Totally, it's still like a different game, but to have like rank up all the time, all your friends are playing Call of Duty. There are like so many social elements that are also into play with these type of games. I mean, if your friend probably wasn't like, hey, play Battlefield right now, you might have picked up Titanfall 2 for maybe, right? I mean, that social element is so
true.
And a lot of people know Battlefield 1, know Call of Duty, and I mean, if Call of Duty was like really bad and the players were like, okay, I really want, yeah, this type of shooter, but then a good one, then maybe Titanfall 2, and maybe EA thought this because from all the like developers we have, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, I mean, I totally disagree right now, but before the release, it was like they're probably the least interesting because they made Ghost, and that was like a really bad game.
Terrible, holy crap.
Yeah, I totally agree. So a lot of maybe EA was like, okay, so their Call of Duty is like weakened. It's like not a Black Ops 3 that a lot of people are going to buy, and we already see that in the sales. The Infinite Warfare sales are nowhere near Black Ops 3. But yeah, Titanfall 2 is not really benefiting from that, I think. So they will probably like, I mean, you're probably waiting. Yeah, you already said that you're waiting till they put it in sale. And I think that will happen at the time that they should release it. And that's probably February, something like that. Or maybe during holiday already. And
yeah. And that's the thing with Titanfall 2. I think that it definitely is going to sell enough, I think, to make a third one. Because I really,
They already said that they're moving this into a franchise and they are going to make new games. I
Yeah.
think it's hard to believe because why if this game is not going to sell as well as the first one, and if you're now on PlayStation 4 while the first one was only on Xbox One, PC, and Xbox 360, and you're now on the biggest platform that is out right now, of course, PC, I mean biggest console. So then why would people care in the future? Maybe if you launch it in June or something like
Because
that. But
I think what they're hoping for is, and what I'm really interested in is seeing the financials and the copies sold of all three of these shooters, whenever that may be. Because
that
of the
will
fact
eventually
that,
happen. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because the thing that I think might be going on here is this amount of hate that Call of Duty Infinite Warfare received before it launched. Maybe it will recover and people will love it and people will buy the hell
I
out
hope
of
that
it.
that
Who
will
knows?
happen. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. I want Call of Duty to die at this point.
Oh
but
God,
mainly
selfish.
because it's because I want more diverse shooters to come out,
This
right?
is,
No, it's not. The
I mean,
campaign might be, but the Call of Duty, it's the same thing, Jordan.
yeah,
Come
but it's
on.
like League of Legends totally changing their
League
whole
of
game.
Legends hasn't
And
made 15 plus games of the same thing though. Like
no, no,
that's
no,
what I'm
but they're
saying.
still
Like,
move. It's like this is like the same thing, but in a like a old model. Same for FIFA. They could just release an update every year, but they think, okay, why would we do that?
why would
Because
you
all their
throw the
FIFA
roster
players.
update argument? It's the
No, no,
whole
no,
problem.
but that, I mean, they're like also balancing the game out, and this is what Call of Duty is doing as well. Although they are changing way more than just the balance. I mean, if you really dive into even the Warfare multiplayer, you see that while it looks a lot like Black Ops 3, and they played it pretty safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because Black Ops 3 is an amazing game. So they thought, okay, let's do some future stuff in there, add some missions. They have now combat rigs, so it changes the gameplay a little bit, but also on a esport level, it's like, whoa, they changed a lot of stuff. But for people, yeah, looking into it, they're like, okay, it looks the same. But that could be said for a lot of different games. Assassin's Creed, oh, it's a different setting, but
But
yeah, it totally
that's
plays the same.
Yeah,
And
but that's the thing though, is a lot of people don't want the same thing over and over and over again. That's why the Call of Duty esports community has just been fiddling, like going away, because they're just
that's
getting
a
the
good
same
one, yeah.
game over and over again, and no one wants to watch that because Call of Duty right now has a really bad image in terms of competitive gameplay. A lot of people just want to play Counter-Strike, which could be played on a potato PC. Of course, if you want to play professionally, you have to have a decent PC, like a $450 PC can run the game fine at a professional level over like 100 frames per second. But even at that account, a lot of people want to see something different in terms of the creativeness of these types of shooters, and that's why this year has been so good for Battlefield, why it's been not necessarily good in terms of sales for Titanfall 2, but I've seen a lot of positivity around the game. It's just
But
because all three of them released at the same time. It's the third
Yeah.
wheel, and it's just sort of chilling there.
Yeah, but why do you think Battlefield has a lot of innovation and or changes a lot? Because it's like the same game, but the weapons don't
It's
feel
not-
like as good, or I mean, they feel good, but they're like harder to use.
Because it's
and
a newer setting that maybe not is super new, but I think the way it was presented and done, like the sort of progressive map modes within the game that sort of make you go through a massive map for like 40 minutes to like an hour. That was in one of the matches, and it feels different and sort of, to me it feels kind of like a MOBA, where before, like, you played a game for 30 minutes or whatever and you move on to the next one. This one feels a little bit more drawn out but more progressive, and so I think that they're doing a lot more in that regard. And yes, Battlefield still needs to do a lot more than that, sure, but I mean, when it really comes down to it, Battlefield's always done stuff at a grander scale. Call of Duty's always done stuff on a smaller scale. And that smaller scale, at least from what I've seen from it, hasn't really evolved too much, except for now it's up in space. And yes, there's probably more intricacies in the campaign, but the multiplayer stayed the same, where Battlefield has always tried a little bit of new, different things here and there. And it's just one of those things where I see Titanfall doing a lot of interesting things, like the grappling hook was an interesting thing that they brought in to sort of speed things up. So I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't want Call of Duty, but then they want it. It's a very love-hate relationship, and I think that maybe Infinite Warfare fixed it, but at the same time, I don't know, man.
No, they didn't fix anything. It's like the same game, but they changed some things that I really like. So that's why I like the game. The setting is really interesting, and the characters and the zombie mode. I mean, it's the zombie mode, yeah, you know it, but they changed so many cool things, and it's like 80s style, and you have David Hasselhoff playing some music and stuff like that. It's like pretty fun. If you don't expect like this new innovation in Call of Duty, then you will totally enjoy this game. It's like, I'm like a little bit angry on the people that are like, oh, I want my old Call of Duty back, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I understand that, but this like the vision of the guys, and I think that a lot of people that are crying right now are not the majority, because a lot of people still played Black Ops 3 and it was like one of the biggest Call of Duty ever. And I think that the movement they changed. If you really want to go back to that, like boots on the ground, no jetpack and stuff like that, I think that will be very boring, and a lot of people don't really want to go back to that, because why did they change it? Because they really needed to get it off the ground.
I think another issue I have with the game as well, now I'm thinking about it, is I don't think they've really updated their engine at all. Like they might update it a little bit, but
The game, you mean in terms of graphics, or?
No, in terms of how the engine feels, because every engine makes your game feel a different way. The reason why Battlefield 1 feels a lot better than Battlefield 4 is because the new Frostbite engine allows it to be presented and also programmed in a way that makes it feel better in terms of like the bullet impacts and stuff like that. With Call of Duty, I swear it's only been in the same engine, and this sort of kept rehashing it, and it's very small rehashes, and I think that's why they have issues on PC, quite honestly, because it's the same freaking engine just sort of jimmy rigged together, sort of like what Blizzard does with World of Warcraft every time they add a new graphical feature to it. And it's gotten to the point now where it's fine for consoles, but I want them to do a new thing tech-wise that might make the game feel a bit different, because that's another thing that I have an issue with, is it always feels the same way, and that minor
but then you also have like the esports players. I mean, if they change too much, then they're like, okay,
what are they gonna lose, like 9,000 viewers? Like I don't see hardly any viewership on Twitch for their tournaments and whatnot. Like that's the thing.
Call of Duty XP had a lot of viewers, I think, but I'm not sure.
Was that even on Twitch?
Probably. Everything is on Twitch, man.
All right, so I think we've sort of beat this horse a lot, and you guys got our takes on different things. You guys know I don't like Call of Duty basically, and I laid out some of my reasons for that. But we both like Titanfall.
But you didn't play the previous one, so yeah. I mean,
Advanced Warfare?
Yeah,
or
that's like
3
years ago.
I played Black Ops 3 a good bit when I was on free weekends periodically.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then I also played Advanced Warfare because it came with my PS4. So.
Oh yeah. Okay, fair enough.
The last one that I actually bought was Ghosts. How did that turn out?
Sucks for you, man. Sucks for you.
Yeah.